What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. We're driving into the city, coming from Mill Valley and Marin County. Check that out. Check the city out, y'all. You can't see it from here, but anyways, so if this is your first time here, welcome back. Welcome back to the channel. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe button down below. Don't be a player hater, and yeah, help a motherfucker get his views up and his subscribers up. Look, check that out. Let me show you guys. That's why I love this city, man. I love driving here. I love driving on this this freeway. Or I mean, I love driving on this. Anyway, so today's topic, check out the city and the bridge. Check that out. Here, let me readjust the camera before we get started. Look at that. Y'all see why I take this bridge? I can actually, anyway, so today's topic is I stopped watching porn, and it's been like about five plus years, if not more. And it's probably one of the best decisions I made, because I didn't realize how damaging porn really was until I gave it up. And I didn't realize how much it was hindering me with making connection with the opposite sex, if that makes sense. So before we get started on that, I want to say something that so I'm going to talk about how I started watching porn, right? So this started the first content of porn that I've ever came across. I could have been like 8 years old, and it was a magazine. It was one of my uncle's magazines, right? And my brother and I, we found it, right? And we were like, damn, we were some kids, right? Like, what? This shit's sick, right? We were kids, right? We're like, what? We got caught. Obviously, we got caught with it, with the magazine, and to this day, that was the first content of porno that we've ever watched, and it was on a magazine, right? And keep in mind, back then, we didn't have access to the internet, right? So access to porn wasn't really accessible how it is nowadays, right? But as we were growing up, we grew up with the internet, but at the same time, we didn't grow up with the internet, right? So we had access to computers and at school or just outside of the home, but we never grew up with a computer, if that makes sense. So once we started going into high school and middle school, that's when it got pretty much out of hand. I was thinking of porno and titties, ass and titties all day. And I remember being in class, right? I don't know about you guys, just being in school and telling the teacher, oh, I gotta go hit the bathroom real quick. Whoop, I'll go to the restroom or just stop by the library, go watch a quick porn video. And keep in mind, back then the schools had these I don't know what it was, like a software, they would block certain websites. And I don't know, for whatever reason, as a kid, I was always like a little bit tech savvy, more than I guess the average kid out there, right? And so I was able to bypass all these websites, right? And hold on, and yeah, so this kept going on for decades. So I was able to see the whole transition, right, from people just enjoying porno or porn on a magazine, right, to transitioning to full blown whatever you want on a screen, right? And that shit, it was like giving a kid candy and giving him full access and not letting them, just. It was terrible. I was thinking of ass, like I said earlier, ass, titties, 24/7, and yeah. The crazy part is, as I got older, right, started going to high school, I became an adult. I didn't realize that watching this type of content is definitely damaging, especially and it's damaging when it comes to having human connections with the opposite sex, right? But back to my porn consumption days, right? So fresh out of high school, I got married, got into a relationship that I should have never got into. That's a whole separate story. And my wife, my ex-wife at the time, she knew, and we were both teenagers or teens or whatever, and we would watch it sometimes together, right? Which is fucking nuts, right? Now that I think back, and she would never want to watch it, right? She would, we would probably watch a little bit and then do our thing, if you know what I mean. If you don't, then you don't know what I mean. But she wasn't really big into it, right? But then it got to a point where it became an issue between both of us. And at the time, honestly, I didn't give a fuck. I didn't care. I said, yeah, whatever. I didn't care. But then I didn't care. Now that I realize this, right? I didn't care because I was so addicted to the shit that I was like, whatever. My train of thought was like, all right, whatever. If even got to the point where she was like, well, all you do is look at those bitches online and you don't even want to. And it's crazy because it created this endless cycle where it was like she was upset at me for looking at these women, right? But then again, I get upset at her for yapping. So I'd be like, oh, okay, whatever. If you continue yapping, I'm just not going to listen to you, because I could just go back to the phone or to the tablet or whatever, right? And it just became this endless cycle of arguing, and just she was just, yeah, it was bad. And I wouldn't be surprised if that was I haven't spoken to her in years, right? But I wouldn't be surprised that was a contributing factor on why we didn't work out. And yeah, so let's talk about some of the things that really damaged me, right? It got to the point where I couldn't look at someone directly in the eye, like make eye contact and have a serious conversation with an individual, let alone women, right? And yeah, that was pretty bad. It was you ever I don't know if you guys ever run into a weirdo, and sometimes the weirdos like a comic book guy, like the Simpsons character comic book guy, where he's just a fucking weirdo and you know, he's overweight. You could tell he doesn't have success with women, or just doesn't have a girl. I was that guy. That fucking not necessarily a weirdo. I probably was a weirdo. I just didn't even know it. But yeah, I'm readjusting the camera. But yeah, another issue is I started objectifying women, right? So to me, they were just another. They were pretty much a sex object, right? They didn't. To me, they weren't somebody that held any agency, if that makes sense. That they weren't practically human. They were just like a doll, right? And I didn't realize this. I had to realize this, right? And all these things I've come to realize as I guess as I go time without watching porn. And it's been around 5 years. It's crazy because when I gave up alcohol, right, and I fixed my diet, which has been about 5 years, roughly around the same time, that's when I gave up on the porn, right? And yeah, so I gave up alcohol, which made it kind of easier, right? Or easy. But I'd get home, right? And anyway, so yeah, that's another thing. I would objectify women, and they were just an empty vessel. And that was that was a big issue on why, you know, it's hard to go and I'm gonna be real with this, right? I'm gonna keep it 100 with everyone. Women know when a motherfucker watches porn. They smell it. As a matter of fact, my brother and I, we have this joke. Well, I can see and have a conversation with another man, look at him straight in his eyes, and I could tell if he consumes any of that crap. I don't know what it is. It's like if the porn is sucking the soul out of you, and it manifests on your facial expressions, if that makes sense. And people who consume porn, they don't know that it's like your whole posture, your how you carry yourself, how you conversate with other people, how you make eye contact, how you your posture, all of that. It kind of is like a telltale sign if a motherfucker watches porn. And you know what's a given? If you ask a man on a serious, if you ask him, hey bro, you watch porn or not? And you can just see their facial expressions and just their body composure just start shifting, and their shoulders start moving from side to side, and they think it's a joke. Like, nah, bro. I can tell when a motherfucker watches porn, right? And if I can tell, so can women. I stopped watching porn. That's the moment I stopped watching porn. That's the time. That's the moment I got better with women. I'm not playing. I'm not making shit up. I don't know the science behind it. Maybe one of you guys can explain it down in the comments. But for whatever reason, I was able to actually hold a conversation with somebody else, you know, with the opposite sex. And this is something I wasn't able to do for years. And now that I look back, it's like I don't consume any of it. I don't want to sound like a drug addict. I don't relapse. It's just life is so much, and I sound like a preacher, right? Like life is so much better on the other side. Give it up, and it really is. Just because it forces you, by giving it up, it forces you to actually interact with the opposite sex. And you don't have these false expectations either, right? Where for a while, and I had to get this shit out of my head. Let's say I get intimate with a woman, right? Let's say I go on a date with somebody that I like. I automatically expect them to be this fucking stripperella, fucking acrobatic, flexible yoga and sexual yoga instructor, if that makes sense. And let's be real, that's just in the pornos, that's just in the movies. They're purposely directed into making you think that that's how women operate, right? And they're doing all these acrobatic moves in the bedroom, and hey, some of them are. I ain't gonna lie. And I've come across them, and that shit. I felt like a porn star before, but that's not all of them. That's not all of them. That's just a few of them, and the crazy part is that once you have that embedded in your mind, it's almost hard to get that shit out of your mind, where it almost puts you I swear to God, I had erectile dysfunction, right? To the point where I'd be with an attractive woman, or just somebody, like an attractive chick, right? Like the last chick I was messing with, she was fine, she was attractive and all of that, and well, this was anyway, maybe I shouldn't talk about this situation. Anyway, so yeah, I'm not gonna bring that bitch up. Anyways, yeah, that's my story. I've been 5 years without watching it. It's cool. I be telling like people I know, stop watching that shit. Like, I got a friend, right? You could tell he watches porn. He's fat. He's fucking that, you know, like a comic book guy type of character. Fat. Doesn't exercise. Doesn't but the motherfucker got game. But I look at him and I tell him, bro, you gotta stop watching porn. And like I say, yeah, we as men, we can instinctively tell when another guy watches this shit. And yeah, don't fall for the be falling for the